evening, everyone. I am Father Mike Quinnen. I'm the pastor here at St. Luke's Church. Very happy to welcome you to our little conversation with Rabbi Zucker. He is leading us in this topic on the conflict in the Holy Land and hopes for a lasting peace. It's certainly a challenging topic and something that is timely and good for us to listen to and become more aware of what is happening in the Holy Land and in that place of conflict. Pope Francis was in East Timor, maybe he left yesterday, maybe it was today. I don't know, that, with the difference in time zones, I think it was probably yesterday. But anyway, he says, to be free does not mean doing what we want. True freedom means respecting and caring for our common home. And I think conflict comes often as a result of somebody asserting freedom and somebody having their rights and responsibilities violated. And balancing that is an important thing. Viktor Frankl, who was the father of logotherapy, notes that in the United States we have a Statue of Liberty on the East Coast, Statue of Freedom, but he said we really should erect a statue of responsibility on the Pacific Coast, remembering that freedom and responsibility come hand in hand. And keeping that in mind, I think, helps us to live together in a peaceful society and to do our best to come to an awareness of conflicts and hopefully overcome them. So we welcome Rabbi Zucker, who will share with us his perspective and dialogue with us on some questions that we have about the conflict that exists. And so I think, are you next? Tony's next, okay.
These cables are old. Good evening, I'm Professor Anthony Stevens Arroyo. I'm the coordinator for Faithful Neighbors Ministry. Our other members will identify themselves as they speak tonight. This is a new effort at St. Luke's and a unique one for the Diocese of Scranton. It responds to the invitation of Pope Francis in his encyclical Fratelli Tutti that people of all faith should listen to each other. The Holy Father began his remarkable encyclical by recalling the encounters of St. Francis of Assisi with the Sultan of Egypt in August of 1219 during the Wars of the Crusades. St. Francis went to Egypt with the idea of converting Muslims, but after several days of discussions with the Sultan, St. Francis came away with a changed opinion about how to be an instrument of peace. After all, since each of us is created in the image and likeness of God, loving each other gives glory to our Creator. Moreover, if we are all children of God, we are all brothers and sisters of each other. Fratelli tutti, and to be politically correct, i sorelle. Pope Francis compares the tumultuous times of St. Francis and the Sultan with our own. To find a solution to the many conflicts in the world, writes the Pope, we need to speak less and listen more. We must recognize that we are never more alike in our common humanity than we are different because of our rival religious traditions. This event tonight is in that spirit, as St. Luke's Parish strives to follow the Pope's call to a dialogue of life in which people strive to live in an open and neighborly spirit, to share their joys and sorrows, as well as their human problems and preoccupations. After pleasant encounters with neighbors of different faiths last year, two young men, Michael Sullivan, raise your hand, Michael, and Adan Stevens Diaz, you raise your hand too. They challenged our ministry to also listen to our neighbors directly afflicted by the current conflict in the Holy Land. With study and reflective prayer, we drafted 7 questions for Jews and Muslims alike. Some reflect Catholic theology, some require historical background, some question media accounts. Some only ask for definitions of rival terminologies. However, all of them are focused on faith rather than on politics. You will notice we announced a conversation about the Holy Land to avoid using Israel or Palestine, two terms with political presumptions. Sadly, religions that are supposed to bring peace to all are often manipulated to become the reason for war. We have 9/11 today to remember how that happens. We Catholics have been no exception to a human history riddled with anti-Semitism, religious wars, and persecution. Along with everyone else in the human race, we need forgiveness for how our sinning has obscured the image and likeness of the God within us. We Catholics continually ask God to forgive us our trespasses, just as we forgive those who trespass against us. In the search for God and for the path to peace, it is an honor for St. Luke's to have a partner in our effort this evening. Rabbi Daniel Zucker of Temple Israel, as you will soon see, is a scholar of great knowledge and a man of deep faith. And because he is our neighbor in St. Luke's, he's our rabbi too. Just as Pope Francis is the Pope for Temple Israel. I will be timekeeper for the asking of these 7 questions. You all have copies of them. The rabbis have been provided with this list, so there is no gotcha here. We can afford 8 minutes for each question, although if we spend less time on one, we can spend more time on another. After the rabbi answers, we may allow 2 follow-up questions for clarification. This part of the program will be recorded on video. Unfortunately, because of some legal issues, we cannot have an open microphone for all participants. However, we intend to use this video for educational purposes and for this event, and perhaps share it with our Pocono Interfaith Council, which is represented here tonight by the current coordinator, Mr. Semi Kima from Chestnut Retreat Center. So you raise your hand, Semi. There he is over there. If you came this evening expecting to find easy solutions, you will be disappointed. This is not a moment for declaring that in conflicts that began with Cain and Abel, one side is completely right and the other completely wrong. The hope of Faithful Neighbors Ministry is that by showing compassion, God will replace hearts of stone with hearts of flesh, as announced by the prophet Ezekiel. With that hope for peace, let us begin, and I'll ask our Deacon Phil to present our honored guest.
Good and blessed evening, and to Rabbi Zucker and our friends from Temple Israel, and to all, Shalom, peace. We are honored to hear from Rabbi tonight, and we welcome you all to the Church of St. Luke. Some background information for all, and especially for our St. Luke's parishioners. Rabbi Daniel Zucker was born in Oakland, California, and grew up in a liberal Jewish home where his Jewish identity was formed. His parents, pre-war rabbinical immigrants from Germany, installed within him a love of learning, especially of Jewish and biblical history, and a scientific approach to one's studies, as well as Jewish liturgical music. He went on to study archaeology at the University of California, Berkeley, and the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. After completing his BA in Berkeley, where he returned to Israel to join the staff of the Amli Asaf School of Judean Desert Studies, where he served as a guide and as a liaison to the archaeological excavations conducted by the Israel Exploration Society. He was involved in numerous excavations and the archaeological survey of Northwest Sinai, where in January 1973, he personally discovered the remains of the biblical site of Migdol, mentioned in the book of Exodus. Returning to the United States in 1974 to begin rabbinical studies at Hebrew Union College, Jesuit Institute of Religion in Los Angeles, Rabbi Zucker was ordained in 1978. Rabbi Zucker has served congregations in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the greater Los Angeles area, Fairfax, Virginia, the Chicago area, Long Island, Greater New York City, as well as Pottstown, Pennsylvania, and Flanders, New Jersey. He helped organize the American Rabbinic Network for Ethiopian Jewry, serving as international president from 1988 to 1991. Rabbi Zucker was also involved in raising funds for the release of Jews from Syria in 1991 and 1992. Rabbi Zucker has raised funds for the anti-slavery movement in Sudan and spoken forcefully about the crisis in Darfur. Long involved in the problems of Jewish refugees from revolutionary Iran, Rabbi Zucker became very involved in support for the Iranian opposition movement. He has spoken at the human rights conferences at the United Nations and lobbied elected officials on behalf of the Iranian resistance movement. In 2005, Rabbi Zucker founded Americans for Democracy in the Middle East, where he served as chairman of the board. He has been invited frequently to Paris to attend international convocations of the National Council of Resistance of Iran and to address their 2005 and 2006 sessions. Rabbi Zucker also served as adjunct professor of Hebrew language at the C.W. Post campus of Long Island University in Brookville, New York for 4 years. Received a doctorate of divinity from the Jewish Theological Seminary in 2010. Rabbi is married to the love of his life, Elena Mustri Zucker, formerly of Mexico City. In addition to their daughter, Rahel Miriam Shibroni, they shared daughters, Yehudit Zucker Ezra and 14 Mustri Saba Arce. When not on the clock, Rabbi loves to hike, ski, two passions we share together,